to license the...
Meep, meep.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to Maple Leaf Matchbox Makeovers. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is a 1 to 57 scale Matchbox 1965 Shelby Cobra 427 SC. This is kept in a very special box along with an almost identical Hot Wheels model. The Hot Wheels is in blue on the left, and I've decided to work on the red Matchbox one today. I received these from a friend of the channel back a few months ago who wrote a very special note that accompanied the mailing, and I got these under very special circumstances. Suffice it to say, these are extremely sentimental to the sender, and he asked that I restore them in whatever fashion I wanted, and he liked the fact that these are given away on my channel to kids, and that was his final wish. So this Shelby Cobra build is dedicated to my friend who I've never met, but we established a very special online relationship. It goes into the bench vise, and I begin by drilling out the two rivets with a 4mm drill bit. And they were plastic rivets on the top, so that was no difficulty at all. But it was a bit of a wrestling match to get this base off, and thanks to the magic of video editing, looks like I did it on the first try. That was about 10 minutes of struggle right there. You noticed earlier that the windshield is broken, and that's going to need some repair. The rest of the car is in pretty good shape. Two-seat sport interior. And here I need to pop out the roll bar that just goes behind the driver's seat, as per the original automobile. The wheels were actually in good condition too, and I thought were period correct, but I do have a pair that I want to use to swap them out. Here's the little broken bracket that comes off of the bottom of the windshield, and I'm going to need to repair that somehow so that I can refit it. I put a little squirt of lubricating oil into this dish, and I apply that with a toothpick. Actually makes the drilling out of the post go substantially easier. And I don't always use oil, but I think I'm going to in the future. That's just a good tip that I received, and I'll pass that on to you. Now I fit a couple of screws in the two drilled out posts just to ensure a good fit, and it's most important to do it at the beginning of the build and not after the paint and clear coat stage, in case alterations need to be made. I don't think any of us is going to say goodbye to 2020 with any regrets. That's been a crazy year, and here's hoping for an excellent 2021 for you. Mine is going to begin with a buddy build on January 8th with Ricky from iRefix Diecast, and then on January 20th, a Tonka build-off sponsored by the Diecast Sheriff. I've put links to both of their YouTube channels in the description, and I'd be pleased if you would visit them and give them a like and a follow and become subscribers to their excellent channels. They are doing some really awesome builds. And I am both excited and honored to be cooperating with them coming up in January, so keep an eye out for those videos. It was the British manufacturer AC Cars who originally designed and produced this roadster with a hand-built body on a steel tube frame and aluminum body panels that were made using old-fashioned English wheeling machines. In September 1961, retired American race car driver and automotive designer Carroll Shelby wrote to AC asking if they would build him a car modified to accept a V8 engine. AC agreed, provided a suitable engine could be found. Shelby went on the hunt and he started at Chevrolet to see if they would provide him with engines, but not wanting to add competition to their Corvette, they said no. However, Ford wanted a car that could compete with the Corvette, and they provided Shelby with 2 engines. A new chassis was required, developed, and designated the Mark III. The new car was designed in cooperation with Ford in Detroit. It was powered by the Ford 7-liter, 427 cubic inch FE engine, equipped with a single 4-barrel Holley carburetor. It was a rocket sled on wheels. Unfortunately, the Mark III missed homologation for the 1965 racing season, and it was not raced by the Shelby team. Only 56 of the 100 planned cars were produced. Of those, 31 unsold competition models were detuned and fitted with windscreens for street use. Called SC for semi-competition, an original example can currently sell for US $1.5 million, making it one of the most valuable Cobra variants. If you happen to have one of those, I'm not going to see you cruising the strip in it. You would have to invite me into your climate-controlled private high-security display garage, where you would make sure I am looking at it from afar and not too close for fear that I might breathe on it. These are special cars. Matchbox produced these from 2002 to 2010. Mine came out in the 2009 Modern Rides 5-pack and was numbered MB587. It's had all kinds of different colors and variations over the years. A couple of casting lines on this. It's always a little bit of a mystery to me why car manufacturer, the model makers, let these go. So usually we take a diamond file, needle file you might call it, and put a little elbow grease on it. I would say it's about 4 or 5 minutes of fine tuning here. After I'm finished with the needle files, I put the Dremel tool together, goggled up because these bristles fly around like harpoons. And I go over the entire body, but I'm going to give special attention to the area that got filed, because it inevitably leaves a couple of file marks or light gouges, but they come out nicely with this treatment. The Scotch-Brite attachment gives it another nicer finish, and you also see some steel wool on my hobby bench. And this is time well spent to get a good bare metal finish like this. One last look over to see if I've missed anything, and into the spray booth, beginning with some degreasing. This takes off any of my fingerprints or oils that have accumulated on there. I give it a regular primer treatment, which requires a couple minutes to set up. I usually go about some other work at this time. And the next step is to mask up what I have decided is going to be a stripe down the middle. It's fairly common on the Shelby Cobras. I'm changing up the color from the original red to a very nice midnight black. I'm always learning and growing in this hobby, and one thing that I've recently come across is the idea of a UV light box for curing paint. And on a budget, I bought a strip of LED UV lights on Amazon. I put them inside of this plastic container that I already had. And it doesn't actually get hot in there, it gets warm, but it's the UV effect that more quickly and thoroughly cures the paint. So that's a $5 experiment, and I'll do that a couple times. I'll let you know how I make out, whether that's successful or worthwhile or not, but it really was not a big expenditure of money, and kind of cool. So we'll see how that goes. Waiting for paint to dry is a big part of the hobby, and so I get around some other perfunctory duties. I put some Nuln oil on the bottom of the base just to, it finds its way into the details and the crevices and gives it a more realistic appearance. I use my Molotov chrome pen on the very distinctive side exhaust pipes, and I blacked out the tip of it to look real. And here's a little bit of aluminum paint on a grille, which is really deeply buried inside the front scoop of the car. You probably won't see it in the end. Here you can see the masking job. I left brilliant white under the tape. That went on top of the primer, and then the black over the tape. I make my own decals. This was pretty straightforward striping job, and I print them on blueback laser decal paper. I've also included the Shelby Cobra emblem on the hood and the trunk as part of the decal. The hood scoop is fairly prominent on the front of this model, and I couldn't put one single decal strip on the hood because of that. It would just wrinkle up too much, so I've had to cut it in two, and I'm going to very carefully try to match those lines with the second piece that lays on top of the hood scoop. It takes a little bit of fiddling, but ultimately I got that just the way I wanted it to, and that'll get clear coated as protection for the whole body, but also most importantly to keep the decals in place and permanent. Something I like to do is to put a personalized MLMM license plate on a car if at all possible, and this one lends itself to that. It's car number 73. Some Google pics reveal a walnut wood steering wheel with chrome arms. And it's hard to hit every detail on a 1:57 scale model. They're so small. But I thought this is one way I could lend some realism to my model. So with no thanks to my big clumsy hands and aging eyes, I think it came out okay for being so miniature. The paint in the clear coat is well cured at this point. It's been a couple of days before I handle it at all. And like all midnight black cars, it picks up every particle of dust in the hobby room. But that can be wiped away. Not worried about it so much right now. I just want everything to go back into place. I put some spacers on the back axles to keep these new tires from slipping side to side, and they're working out very well. The pre-fitted screws go back in as they should. I can't say that the Shelby Cobra fought me too much along the way. Sometimes they do, but I got along with this one pretty well. No major problems to report to you. It's still a roller. The two final details include the roll bar behind the driver's seat. Chromed it up with my Molotov pen, and it just pushes back into place with no glue involved. And I put the repaired windshield back on as well as a final touch. This is how it looked in the beginning, with a little bit of chip paint and the broken windshield, and the rear wheels were loose. So I gave attention to all of those things, and it came out looking pretty sharp, I think. Of all the Cobra color combinations, this is my favorite. Midnight black with a white stripe on it. And here it is in the garage for some glamour shots. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, won't you? And become a subscriber to Maple Leaf Matchbox Makeovers. This car and all of my restorations and makeovers goes to the Goodwill shop as a gift for a little boy or girl. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and invite you to come back soon and often. It's coffee time.